So in the wake of Nvidia kind of spiraling out of control and being the only one in the market delivering high performance gaming, AMD has been working hard in the background to kind of deliver that performance level at a much more budgeted price. AMD, after all, is the more budget hardware, and it is for the more casual gamer. Well, I wouldn't say so much casual, but it's way more affordable than the likes of the 5080s or the 5090s. So, with that in mind, AMD has released their FSR Redstone, which is their new FSR technology powered by machine learning, and it's enhanced for performance and immersion. But they have released a video in order to showcase what it is. So I'm going to go over the important parts of this video. We're going to kind of react to it, and hopefully you'll enjoy the video. So without further ado, let's get cracking. And with a bit of magic, just like that, we can get going.
What I love most about gaming is how it never stops evolving, not just in how we play, but in how deeply we experience the worlds we step into. Early this year at Computex, I shared a glimpse of that future with FSR Redstone, our next generation suite of neural rendering technologies. And today, that future is here. FSR Redstone gives developers new tools to create, and players experiences that feel richer, more alive, and more immersive.
Now, these visuals may look a little kind of compressed. That's because it's a YouTube video, but this is really impressive for what it's doing. And unlike DLSS, which only applies generally to, well, is for Nvidia, FSR is kind of like for everything. So AMD is really pushing this, and hopefully this will actually benefit consoles in the future as well.
We'll have more than 200 games supporting our ML Power Upscaler by the end of this year, delivering near native image
That's 200 games. That's not bad. And as you can see there, there's a lot of games, including the likes of Call of Duty. You got Mafia. You got Firebreak for whatever reason, but I guess why not? Marvel Rivals, God of War. You got Ghost of Tsushima. Lots and lots. Oblivion, The Last of Us, one and remastered part two. So yeah, Stellar Blade even. Space Marine, Ratchet and Clank. Many games.
quality from lower resolution frames in real time. But this is just the beginning. There's so much more ahead, and we're excited to see how developers and players bring these technologies to life. We took a hard look at the modern graphics pipeline and asked a simple question: where can machine learning truly transform the gaming experience? That question led us to create 3 new technologies, joining our ML upscaling as part of the FSR Redstone family. Ray trace lighting is stunning, but incredibly demanding. Modern games spend a huge amount of time calculating rays bouncing around complex scenes, so we reimagined that process from the ground up. FSR Radiance Caching is a real-time neural network-driven system that transforms how ray trace lighting is computed. Think of it as lighting intelligence built directly into the engine. Instead of recalculating every single ray, Radiance Caching learns in real time, recognizing lighting patterns, predicting behavior, and reusing information with incredible efficiency. The result? Beautiful, realistic lighting at a fraction of the cost. We're proud to partner with Fat Shark, creators of Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, to showcase the first implementation of Radiance Caching, bringing richer, beautiful lighting to every environment.
That looked amazing, right? That absolutely looked amazing. If we just rewind for 5 seconds. So this is it disabled, and you can kind of see the bloom there as
Implementation
well.
of Radiance Caching, bringing
But here you can see how the lighting as it's bouncing around is lighting up the whole area and giving you that much more vibrant look and much more kind of dynamic light look. It's really good. But what the good thing about this is it puts less demand on the actual GPU, right? And that's where the key thing here is. It saves so much on resources, which means they don't have to push as hard and they've got more space to do other things, which is great. It means that graphics cards don't need to have 32, you know, gigs of RAM, but they can have, say, 16 gigs of RAM and it'll be perfectly fine. Like Cyberpunk 2077, for example, on the highest settings, requires 18 gigs of RAM. So you either need a 24 gig graphics card or a 32 gig. At 16 gig, you are going to bottleneck. Something like this would mean that that 16 gigabyte card would actually work and not bottleneck. That's a real-time application.
Richer, beautiful lighting to every environment. You'll see this technology rolling up in games next year, and it's set to redefine cinematic fidelity in real-time experiences. Next, we focus on improving ray trace detail, especially in scenes that are upscaled, where traditional denoisers often blur or lose fine information. FSR Ray Regeneration is our ML-powered solution to restore detail in ray trace effects. Using neural networks trained on low sample frames, it reconstructs what the final image should look like, delivering crisp reflections, clean shadows, and more lifelike surfaces.
One thing that AMD has struggled with in regards to Nvidia is ray tracing. Nvidia has been king for ray tracing. AMD has been lacking behind. But if what they're doing here with Redstone can bridge that gap, that's all the better. What Nvidia right now need is a good competitor. And that's something they haven't had for a long time, which is why they're able to run rampant and do what the hell they like and price what they want. But if AMD come along and offer a high-end graphics card that's not going to cost you a kidney and a liver and price it really well and provide you with this level, this is where AI really comes in and is really good, right? Machine learning, where it actually benefits the end user, keeps the costs lower, and delivers that high performance where the naked eye just can't discern. Stuff like this is where AI is good. And if AMD can pull this off and then deliver a graphics card that's actually, above mid range and starts pushing to that higher range, it doesn't have to hit the 5090 levels. But if it can hit like the 5080 levels and be competing with that, but, go back to the way it used to be, where it was, at like a 2/3 of the cost of an Nvidia card, AMD will definitely have something there.
Every frame feels more alive. You can see this tech in action right now in Call of Duty Black Ops 7, where it delivers ultra-realistic lighting in fast-paced gameplay, with many of next year's top games in development now. With ray regeneration, we're enabling higher quality ray tracing at higher performance, and this is just the start. Let's hear from my good friend Matt Booty from Microsoft to share his experience with FSR Redstone.
Matt Booty!
Thanks, Jack. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Booty,
Hi, Matt Booty.
President of Game Content and Studios at Xbox. And in my role, I have the honor of working with some of the greatest artists, creatives, and technical directors in the world. We have a long history with AMD, from our ambitious hardware plans to how our teams are working together today to deliver the best-in-class experience for our players in games like Call of Duty.
Don't forget, right? Whatever AMD is doing here with their latest graphics cards, some of this will always be and potentially pushed over to their handheld as well, the Xbox Ally X with the Z2 Extreme chip. So the stuff that's here isn't exactly just stuff that's going to only be for the PC. The learnings and the teachings here will be pushed over to the handheld. It's going to get pushed over to the next generation Xbox and potentially to the current generation Xbox as well, if applicable.
Real-time ray tracing enables high-fidelity, realistic, cinematic reflections, yet for many games, the runtime cost is prohibitive. FSR Redstone helps change that. We've been working very closely with AMD to co-develop FSR Ray Regeneration to achieve a material improvement in real-time ray tracing. I'm pleased to say that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is the first game ever to showcase this visual enhancing technology. Additionally, with today's Redstone launch driver, FSR Frame Generation is also now available for players running Call of Duty Black Ops 7 on AMD's 9000 series graphics cards.
So right now, this is limited to the 9000 series graphics cards, with Redstone being available on there, but AMD has a habit of pushing and opening it up. This is probably why FSR 4 was basically recently opened up as open source, so everyone could use it and backport it to other graphics cards, like I've seen with my Steam Deck, where now I can enable FSR 4 on there, and it does make the world of difference in terms of visual clarity. FSR 3 just really isn't up to it anymore. Of course, that does come with a bit of a performance hit, but I digress. But AMD are really pushing, like they've got the lighting side covered, they've got the ray tracing side now that they're pushing to provide that crisper, more realistic, more, you know, beautiful screen display. So it does look like they're really trying to compete here with the likes of Nvidia. Now, they have a long ways to go, in my opinion, to reach the heights that Nvidia has. But the actual clarity that we're getting and the benefits we're getting as graphics cards continue to evolve are becoming diminishing. And because of that, the gap between Nvidia and AMD is going to get smaller and smaller. What AMD is doing now is a giant leap to close that gap. But I do feel like they do need to push a little bit higher than their current graphics cards and provide that one next tier above it and potentially compete with Nvidia. But right now, with the way machine learning is going and the way graphics cards are evolving, maybe you won't need to hit those levels of graphics cards and that price point, because what you get from the tiers that they have now will rival what they're doing over at Nvidia. And if that's the case, a lot more people are going to switch to AMD than they will with Nvidia and pay the premium price. Unless money's another option and you want the best of the best.
These ML technologies help our teams achieve higher fidelity visuals while delivering the great feel and high performance that Call of Duty is known for. Our work on FSR Redstone is just one example of what this partnership is unlocking today, and our teams can't wait to share more of what our collaboration with AMD will unlock in the future across games and our next generation hardware.
And there you heard him there again, our next generation hardware, which he's clearly referring to the next generation Xbox. So the next generation Xbox is going to be supporting AMD Redstone, which FSR Redstone essentially, which is awesome. So they're already kind of porting this. And if they're talking about this technology now supporting the next gen, you already know that the next generation console is not too far away. Because let's face it, in 18 months, there's going to be other technology that's going to be better than Redstone. But if they're talking about this and incorporating it into their next hardware, that can only be the next generation Xbox that they're talking about. So that's another hint right there that the next generation console is really not that far away. And where people are saying 2027, I still think 2026 could be a surprise launch.
Thanks, and back to you, Jack.
Thanks, Matt. It's been incredible working with your team, and I'm so grateful for our partnership. Our next major upgrade builds on a foundation we introduced with FSR 3, analytical frame generation powered by.
So the next part here now talks about frame gen, so I'm not going to go into that too much, but as you can see from the previous, and it kind of provides you with with vector reprojection and optical flow, it kind of blends them together to give you a much more cohesive picture, a much more detailed output, which is really nice. But what's more important to most people is the likes of when you're comparing FSR3. And as you can see here, it's a lot more blurred, it's a lot more muddy. But then you can look over here and it's not as muddy, it's not as blurred, it's a lot more sharp. But what people care about ultimately is frames. And so when we're looking at it, obviously these figures are like crazy, right? But this is essentially native 4K. It does it say what graphics card this is running on? This is on the 9070 XT. So running on native 4K, you're getting 23 FPS, but with FSR Redstone, you're getting 109 FPS. Now, whether this is everything on the lowest settings, I don't know. That's a huge jump. They're not really telling you, but on average, it's 3 times faster. Don't really believe the marketing. Anything above 60, and I'm happy. You know, right? You can see over here Cyberpunk, which is an extremely demanding game, hitting 123, Formula One hitting almost 200, God of War Ragnarok is already 250. These numbers are pretty damn good. Hogwarts Legacy hitting 116, the Mafia 123. So you can see how AMD's new machine learning powered 4K gaming technology with the frame generation is really pushing ahead, and the 9070 XT is really benefiting from this frame gen, which provides them a 3 times performance. Now, obviously, when you're doing frame gen, you do need the frames there first before you can actually do it. I've tried frame gen, and if you don't have enough frames to begin with, it really does suffer, believe it or not. That's a thing. So I'm not really sure how this 23 FPS is going to turn into 109. It's basically creating 80 frames that doesn't exist. So I think there's a bit of magic of the gathering here. But essentially, I get the idea what they're saying, and it will provide you with a much better performance. Something like this, for example, the 111 to 249, that's way more believable because you're essentially only just doubling it. So it's 1 for 2. So that's way, thing. But these types of performances is crazy. But yeah, that's essentially where we're at right now. And you can see like more performance here. I mean, graphically, it just looks really nice. Again, the resolution of the screen of the video isn't great and doesn't really do it justice. I wish we had like a 4K video, even though this is actually a rendering in 4K, but it's still compressed. But folks, that's the video. AMD's new technology, which, Redstone, is going to be pretty damn awesome. It is their idea of pushing the graphics card and their technology into the next era and providing you with much more value.
Joining our ML upscaling as part.
As you can see here with their FSR Radiance, FSR Ray Trace Regeneration, and FSR Upscaling, they're kind of putting all of this together to complete the complete package, which is the final output. The Radiance caching is going to save a lot of resources. Ray Regeneration is going to do wonders and bridge the gap between AMD and Nvidia. The machine learning powered upscaler is obvious. I mean, AI is doing a lot of this now, and it's going to do wonders in terms of just how much power you can get and visual clarity from these graphics cards without having to, go out and fork out $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 or £2,000-3,000 for the top of the range graphics card. So AMD is kind of trying to fill in that gap where people don't want to spend all that money, but want to spend a decent amount of money for a good graphics card. And if they can pull this off, and if this can actually deliver what it says on the tin, not only will next generation PCs also be pretty good for this, but the next generation consoles, be it the Xbox Magnus or the PlayStation 6, are definitely going to benefit from this technology, which means better news for gamers. Hopefully, this will reduce the cost and provide a saving to the consumer. At least that's the hope, right? But anyway, folks, that's the video. If you've made it this far, please do consider leaving a like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. 78% of you are returning viewers, and I love you for that. But you're not subscribed. Do consider subscribing. If half of you subscribed, I would already hit my 10,000 goal. So if you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. It does mean the world to me, and it really does help the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about Redstone. Are you excited for what's coming next from AMD? Love to hear your thoughts. Peace out and remain legend.